What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Gage. Welcome to the channel. Today, I am excited to be showing off the newer Starter Deck FABLE WALTZ from the Digimon trading card game. This is a yellow-based strategy that features a boss monster with a new keyword called Overclock, and I think it is very unique and powerful. And I think that what's great about this starter deck is that it is newer player friendly. So if you are interested in dipping your toes into the Digimon trading card game, then this is a great place to start. I did end up picking up 2 of the starter deck for myself, and I would recommend that anybody who is interested in trying to play the deck do the same, because with very little upgrades, you are able to make a competent deck that can very much take wins. Another reason that you want to get multiples of the deck is because of the fact that not only will you end up getting all the play sets of the cards that you will need, but you will also end up getting some promo cards that are very powerful to have at your disposal as well. These promo cards are what adds consistency to many different decks, including the FABLE WALTZ as well. So I'm going to go ahead and, through the power of editing magic, go ahead and open this up really quickly. And there we have it. It was actually pretty easy to get that box open. The starter deck is pretty straightforward. There's not too many contents. It looks like they have a paper playmat so that if you are newer to the game, you will be able to learn about the different zones and where you place your cards. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that off to the side because we really just want to see the good stuff here, which is the contents of the deck. All right, so it looks as though it's just going to take off a little piece of plastic, and it goes right into the deck itself. So starting with the egg, it has Kiaromon, which says, and if I could just go ahead and try, there we go, which says, when attacking once per turn, if you have another Digimon, you draw a card. So we love drawing cards in any card game, and Digimon is no exception. Very straightforward, and it gets the job done. So it looks as though the deck gives you 4 copies in just one, which is very nice. And then we have Junkmon, which has the decoy keyword, which says when your opponent's effects would delete any of your other Digimon with the puppet trait, by deleting this Digimon, one of those Digimon isn't deleted. So this really allows you to make sure that some of the other larger champions, as well as your megas, will be able to continue to stick onto the field. And then it also has the inheritable of Barrier, where when this Digimon would be deleted in battle, by trashing the top card of your security, it is not. So that is very nice protection for if you are continuing to go higher into your stack. I'd say this is pretty strong in just getting it directly out of the box. I don't necessarily think that this is a card that you will play in the deck with all the bells and whistles, but I think it's pretty good, all things considered, coming right out of the starter deck, and it looks like you get 4 copies of that. And then Shumon is the on-play searcher, so you reveal the top 3 cards of the deck, add a card with the puppet trait and one with the liberator trait, and then to your hand, and then put the rest at the bottom of the deck. And then it has an inheritable, which makes it so that all of your opponent's security Digimon get minus 3000 DP, which is just very nice at softening your opponent's security and making it that much more likely that if you are to swing into their security and hit a large Digimon, that you will be able to survive. So it looks like the starter deck just gives you 2, so that is why I am glad that I picked up 2 of the starter deck to make sure that I have at least 4 for the deck. And then we have Pawn Chessmon. Looks like another consistency card here because it just says by trashing a card with the puppet trait in your hand, you get to draw 2 cards, and it has a nice reboot for its inheritable, and it looks like the deck gives you 4. And then we have Pawn Chessmon, the blocker, and then it has an on deletion, which says by trashing a card with the puppet trait, you get to draw 2 cards. So yeah, I love that the fact that they threw in a lot of these consistency boosters, especially given that it's just a starter deck. So I got to say, this is for a budget deck, I think that this is a very, very fantastic start for anybody who's interested in trying the card game. And it looks like they give you 4 of him as well. And then we have Digimon, which on play and on deletion says give one of your opponent's Digimon security -1 until the end of the turn. So it's going to be very easy for you to be able to either trigger this off yourself, or if your opponent just so happens to attack into it, or to find ways to remove it, because of the fact that it has it gains this ability on deletion as well. Yeah, there are going to be times in which that security minus might be good for stalling. I don't necessarily think that you play this in a blinged out version of the deck for sure, but we appreciate that the starter deck gave it to us nonetheless. And we have Tobukatmon, which just has jamming inherently, and then it also has an inheritable of barrier, which we have seen already. We got 4 copies of that. And then we also have Shushumon here, which I got to say, the artwork there looks very lovely. It has a security effect, which says you could play a card with the Liberator trait and a cost of 4 or less from your hand or trash without paying the cost, which is a very nice consolation prize if this just so happens to get hit out of security and you already have cards loaded up in your discard pile with that trait, which it looks as though, considering all of the cards that we've looked at up until this point, is pretty much able to grab most of your level 4 or lowers from the deck, since they all have that puppet or liberator trait. So yeah, I gotta say, for a security effect, that's not bad, but it also inherently gets overclocked. So this is the one where at the end of your turn, by deleting one of your tokens or other puppet trait Digimon, that makes it so that this Digimon can attack a player without suspending. So that is already very strong, because of the fact that it means you do not have to suspend. Your opponent will then no longer be able to just freely swing into your Digimon to be able to take them out. If they want to remove your threats, they're going to have to find another way of being able to do so by deleting them or returning them to the hand or bottom decking, basically finding other methods of removal. So yeah, I gotta say, Overclock, just seeing it immediately right away is pretty strong. And of course, it has synergy with other random cards in the deck as well, like Digimon, which if it's deleted by an effect, it gains an effect. So I gotta say, I like the synergy there. And then it also, again, has an inheritable of all your opponent's security Digimon get -3000 DP. So as you're continuing to stack up, I'm noticing that these inheritables will start to add up and will make it so that once you finally do get into your Centralmon, the mega of the deck, you are going to be very strong, because there's not going to be many things that are going to be able to stop you from the security in terms of DP. Because there's going to be so many of these that are stacking on top of each other, your Centralmon is very. I can't see the Centralmon dying from battle. So yeah, it looks like the starter deck gives you 2. So yet another reason to grab 2 of the starter deck. We've also got Pandamon, looks like a pretty generic blocker here that says on deletion, you can also play a level 3 Digimon card with the puppet trait from your hand without paying the cost. So again, with Overclock, it's making it so that, essentially it's going to be able to trigger all of these on deletion effects, which is very nice. And then we also have X Tyrannomon here. So this is our first level 5, first ultimate. We've got a armor purge inherently, and we are able to digicross into this. That's cool. But it also has the inheritable of barrier. So pretty nice to have. Looks like the starter deck gives you 4 copies of that. And then we have Chaperonemon, which on play and when digivolving says one of your opponent's Digimon gets -3000 DP for the turn. If there are 3 or more Digimon, it further gets -3000 DP. So you're seeing the trend here. You're really just, as you're continuing to go higher and higher into the stack, making your opponent's Digimon and respectively their security weaker and weaker, making it so that you are going to be a huge threat once you actually do get into your Centralmon. And it also has a very, very powerful inheritable that says all turns once per turn, when this Digimon would leave the battle area other than by your own effects. By deleting one of your tokens or other puppet trait Digimon, it doesn't leave, which is just a fantastic way to be able to continue to keep your stack alive. So yeah, looks like they only gave you 2 copies of that in the starter deck. And then for the boss monster itself, Centralmon, I gotta say, the artwork absolutely gorgeous. It has overclock inherently, blocker inherently, and then it also says when digivolving, you get to play 2 familiar tokens. And then on deletion, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3,000 DP for the turn. So yeah, being able to spam out bodies that you can then use to delete to be able to, protect your bigger stacks from dying. Or of course triggering overclock so that you can go ahead, and swing without suspending is very, very powerful. Even though it's 11,000 DP, with all the inheritables stacked, there's not going to be much from your opponent's security that's going to be able to save them. So looks like the starter deck gives you 2 of those. And then it also has Shinmonzemon, which has Armor Purge, and then on play when digivolving by placing 1 level 5 or lower card with Numemon in its name, or the Puppet trait from your trash. As this Digimon's bottom Digivolution cards, you get to recover. So yellow is known for recovering. So I gotta say, if you are just playing with the contents of the starter deck, that's actually not too bad to be able to have an option for being able to recover in a pinch. So yeah, it looks like they give you 4 copies of that. And we also have the Tamer. So this is a 4-cost Tamer, Arisa Kunosaki. Start of the turn, if you have 2 or less memory, set it to 3, so you've got your memory Tamer. And then your turn, when an effect plays any of your tokens or puppet trait Digimon, by suspending this Tamer, one of those Digimon gains Rush for the turn. So it just makes it so that you are have the ability to go a little bit more aggressive, which I do appreciate, even though it's a yellow base strategy, which is typically a little bit more defensive. So we get 4 copies of that out the starter deck. And then it looks like we get an option, Noble Family Arts, which says one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 for the turn. If there are 3 or more Digimon, it further gets minus 6,000 DP. So yeah, DP reduction, the name of the game for yellow, always has been, and it looks like Noble Family Arts will fit very nicely in this deck as well. And that's it for the, it looks like the deck itself actually comes with 2 copies of Yellow Memory Boost. Definitely can't complain about that. Additional consistency is never a bad thing. If you're unfamiliar, its main effect is you can reveal the top 4 cards of the deck, add a yellow Digimon to your hand, and return to the rest to the bottom of the deck. And then it has a delay effect, which essentially you don't use it the turn that you used it, the search effect, but the turn after, you could essentially remove this from the battle area to gain 2 memory. So that's where the memory boost is coming from. And I got to say, I like the alternate art featuring the Shumon on there, and the fact that the starter deck actually gives you 2 copies of that. So yeah, I got to say, for a starter deck, that is very, very nice to be able to have cards that really synergize nicely. All of the effects are pretty relatively easy to understand. It's got a straightforward game plan. So yeah, I'm excited to actually build this and touch it up with some of the newer support from the Liberator set. So definitely stick around if you are interested in seeing a deck profile with that. So I'm going to go over the promos. So like I said, this is one of the reasons in which you would be interested in picking up this deck, because it comes with all of the different training cards, training option cards for the different colors in the Digimon trading card game. Unfortunately, it does only come with 1 copy of each. So even if you did get 2 of the starter deck, unfortunately, you won't have a full play set, but even 2, you could still certainly get away with it. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. I got to say, right off the bat, the artwork is fantastic. We get the offense training for the red decks. We get the mental training for the blue. We get the physical training for yellow, and that's something that you could immediately slide right into your starter deck. The agility training for green decks, defense for black decks, wisdom training for purple decks, and then, it looks like just a couple keyword glossary, so that if you are unfamiliar, again, it's a starter deck, so newer players, if you are unfamiliar with actually what some of the keywords do, it looks like there is a little bit of a reference point that they give you. And I actually really appreciate that they added this in here, because there are even some keywords that I forget, because, Digimon, crazy to think, has been going on for a couple of years now, and there are a lot of keywords in the game right now. So, guys, I gotta say, I greatly appreciate this product, and if you are interested in the Digimon trading card game and want to be able to give it a go, I'd say that this is certainly the product for you. It's a very I would say affordable, not only to just get the starter decks themselves, but if you find that you are a fan of the strategy, even going out of your way to upgrade the deck should be very affordable as well. A lot of the cards in the Liberator set are affordable. I think the most expensive one would probably be the Sendromon from the Liberator set, and even that is probably around 10 to 12 a piece. And considering you might only really need 2 or 3 copies of that card, means that, yeah, this is as close to a budget deck as a budget deck can be. So that's it from me. I really appreciate it if you stuck around up until this point. In the future, I definitely plan on showcasing an upgraded version of this deck. And until next time, GG.